You are listening to the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and, of course, our friends at the Glebe Central Pub. The GCP shuttle was sold out tonight, and the vibes are absolutely immaculate on the way back to 779 Bank Street. So don't miss your opportunity to get on the GCP shuttle. The next one heads to and from the CTC February 22nd when the Senators return from Four Nations to take on the Montreal Canadiens. More on the GCP and our next visit to it later on in the show. I'm Ross Levitan alongside my good friend Lalime's Martian, and it was a whomping, a beatdown, an ass-kicking. Senators 6, Minnesota Wild no score. Martian, the shots on goal in this game, 52-16. It was a beatdown any way you slice it.
It was an absolute whooping, Ross. And we love to see it, Ross. This is what we needed, a little good vibes at home. And, say what you will. Minnesota, great team. Obviously, they're coming off a 5-game road trip here. This is the last game of a 5-gamer for them. And very similar to, what it was like for Washington coming in. And the CTC was not an easy barn to play in, obviously, for these guys tonight. Full crowd, and they were giving her in there. From what I hear, this was one of the best atmospheres that you're going to see in the CTC all year. Well, I mean, maybe going forward. So far in this year, I think so far is the way to say that. But, you got to give it to the fans on this one. They helped the boys out for sure. Obviously, the team was feeding off a great crowd. So there's a lot to get into for this one, buddy. So let's get it going here. I'm excited for this postcast. This is going to be a hell of a time, buddy. Let's go.
This is the most lopsided game so far this season, right? Like, I know they beat Pittsburgh 5-0. They've had a couple other 8-1 against the St. Louis Blues. This felt more dominant than the 8-1 win over St. Louis. Am I crazy to say that?
Yeah, I don't think you are, Ross. I think that when you look at the level of competition that they're up against here, I know Minnesota's missing Kirill Kaprizov tonight, and that's their best player. I think that, that even a Minnesota fan would say the same thing, but for a team that you're up against here who is, near the top or if not the top of their division right now, Minnesota, they've been rolling all season. They're clicking on all cylinders. They're a guaranteed playoff team, and the Sens just took the boots to them at home. So you can't complain there. And I love what I'm seeing out of this team right now.
We've got slump buster. Shout out Drake Batherson. 10-game goal scoring drought. Done. We were on the phone earlier today, Martian. Who's your bet? Who's your pick? We're riding with Drake Batherson. We both did. And we are counting green numbies in our FanDuel account because of it. The fans, the chat, everybody's buzzing. In the rink, it sounded electric. Standing ovation at the end of the game. And I want to get something out of the way before we dive into all the offense, because let me start this way. Do you think Lalime, who now is the first goalie in Ottawa Senators history with 3 shutouts in his first 13 career starts, do you think he had a sweat tonight?
I don't think he did, Ross. I actually think that this was the easiest game of his life. I don't know if you and Pilsy, it's been a while since you strapped them on, but I think if you or Pilsy in the between the pipes tonight, there might have been a chance of a shutout for one of you guys in the NHL here, because the boys just did an incredible job of locking things down, keeping everything to the outside, not giving up a ton of great chances. Levy was there when he needed to be, but geez, only 16 saves for a shutout. That's as easy as it gets in the NHL, man.
It certainly is. And 3 for 3 on high danger chances, had 6 low danger and 1 medium. So it was, and that was at 5-on-5 rather. So obviously it's a little bit more overall, though. 3 high danger chances, 1.13 expected goals against, but Lalime shuts the door. Still look calm in there, still look cool, still look collected, but like the stats are jumping off the page, and he knows that Linus Ullmark's close. He sees it in practice over the last couple days. There's only 2 nets out there, 3 goalies playing a little bit of musical nets, but he's doing everything he can to make the decision as hard as possible to send him down. Look, Belleville needs him. That's another story, but like, how do you look a guy in the eye across the table and say, you've got us 3 shutouts in 12 games. In 2 of your losses, we didn't even score a goal. So there's nothing you could have done. One of them, you had a shutout into overtime and you still got the loss. Like, shout out Lalime, man. He's not the story of this game, but the fact that he became the first goalie in franchise history to do that is just incredible.
Yeah, enormous stick taps to him. And I don't think you can look him in the eye and say that, Ross. Like you said, it's going to be an incredibly tough decision for them to decide who they're going to move forward with here, because they're not going to hold on to 3 goalies on the NHL roster once Ullmark gets right back ready to go. It's going to be an interesting choice. So we'll see what ends up happening. But, I mean, like I said, there's so much in this game to get into. I think we'll leave that one for another day.
Ottawa improves to 22-3-0 when scoring first. An NHL best mark when they light the lamp first. They did that tonight, courtesy of Josh Norris, shorthanded. Is this guy becoming like the best penalty killer in the league, or the power kill, as we're calling it? The Senators with at least a shorthanded goal in 3 straight games. They've got 4 shorthanded goals in their last 3.
It's sickening, man. It's so fun to see. And the thing about Josh Norris, you really got to watch out for him, because his offensive instincts are next level. Like, they're at as high as you can get. And when he gets an opportunity to spring and go and get a chance, even shorthanded, he's going to make you pay. And we know what he's like when he gets a good look and he's able to shoot the puck. So it's another opportunity here tonight where Jake Sanderson sends him on. It wasn't the perfect pass, but it worked out nicely, kind of banking off the boards, and he scooped that baby up, drove right to the net, and totally fooled the goalie. Just like a great little forehand move, tucked it in there, and that was the tone setter for the game. Especially because I would say that penalty on a lot of nights wouldn't be called. So just to make
a stab check was a punching bag.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to see how the Sens come away from that one going down shorthanded. Obviously, we're not going to be too upset about it just with the outcome of the game. If it went another way, it would be a completely different story. But, yeah, I mean, that was just like the hockey gods smiling down on the Senators and Josh Norris for a horrible call. And, they come out of that power play up 1-0.
Ottawa gets the goal shorthanded. 19th of the year for Josh Norris. Sanderson and Zub with the assists. It stayed that way, and that goal came with just under 2 minutes left in the period. So it's 1-0 Ottawa after the first. A period they still, they beat up the Wild in the first period, but then they took control of the game in the second, where they outshot the Wild 21-4 in the second period. The Wild went without a shot for 9 minutes. Tim Stützle's 17th. Michael Amadio's 3rd of the season. Those are the 2 scoring. So it's 3-0 going into the third period still, and that's where things fell apart, because at the end of the second period, Ryan Hartman did one of the dirtier plays I've seen. He was begging for it all night. He goes into the corner in the second period, midway through, and gives Stützle a little something extra. Stützle hits him back, and he drops like he got hit with a samurai sword instead of a hockey stick. He crumples. He gets the embellishment. They're both beaking back and forth in the box. Hamonic's laughing at Hartman because Hartman was trying to goat Hamonic into a fight earlier in the game or a penalty. Hartman probably, I know Kevin Bieksa, we'll get to his comments, but Hartman, I don't even think wanted to fight Hamonic. I think he would have turtled if Hamonic dropped the gloves and tried to draw a penalty. That's the kind of player Ryan Hartman is. And off of faceoff, he's done this garbage before. Last year, he was fine because off of faceoff, he two-hand high-sticked Cole Perfetti in the nose. And after the game, Perfetti said, he told me he was going to do that. Still no suspension there. This time, instead of a high stick, he decides to do the cold, like Stone Cold Steve Austin, coming down with his elbow on Timmy's head. He's cut up, match penalty, 5 minutes, and they poured it on that power play.
Yeah, as they should. You got to play like that. I actually would have liked to see a little bit of a different response from Ottawa, even though this one worked out perfectly. They should have absolutely killed this guy after this play. Like, that was obscene, Ross, what he did to Tim Stützle. He takes him down on the face-off, basically drags him down by the collar, and then drives in with the elbow right in the head. Stützle's bucket comes off. His head, bare head, smashes off the ice. It could have been a lot worse. And that was just like an egregious play. So dirty. Automatically the league has to look at a major penalty, which it ended up being. So, I mean, they got to look at this one and look at what his MO is on these faceoffs, what he did to Perfetti. And you should be able to say, this was an intent to injure play. That's a superstar player on a Canadian team. Off of faceoff, headshot, everything. They throw the book at this guy for that one because that was absolute garbage. But I'm glad the Sens were able to make him pay on that 5-minute major. But yeah, man, like it's crazy that he goes and does that. Like, what are you thinking, man? There's so many guys in this league who are great guys who would never ever make that decision to try to hurt somebody purposely because he's
smirking after.
Because he's upset with the way the game's going for himself and the way that the last play with Tim Stützle played out. Like, just get over it and keep playing hockey. But instead, he decides to go and be just an idiot, and that's what happens. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure it's going to hurt his pocketbook a little bit, but I would love to see the league crack down on that kind of garbage from a guy like Hartman. He's not like he's a goon, Ross. He's a
I wouldn't call him a goon. No, I'd call him a rat. He's in the same boat as Nick Cousins, Brad Marchand, Maxime Lapierre, Alex Burrows. Like, throw him in that pot.
Right. Yeah. He's a chippy, occasionally skilled, good defensive forward. But I mean, like, gosh, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but like, that was just such a dirty play.
I will take no suspension if somebody can get me an ISO cam of him sitting in the dressing room watching Ottawa score 3 goals on the ensuing power play in the first 3 minutes of the third period. Just watch it. Like, that's on you, pal. Not that they were probably going to come back after being down 3-0, but you turned it from a loss into a complete embarrassment for your organization. So, Ryan Hartman, you just made the list, buddy, and we'll leave your sorry loss at that. Senators win 6-0. We talked about Drake Batherson getting off the schneid. That was great, but Jake Sanderson, 4 points in this game, becomes the 7th defenseman this season with at least 4 points in a game. Zach Werenski has won 5-point game. Nobody else with more than Jake Sanderson's 4 points that he had tonight. We've got SensCentral Standouts, much more to break down. The power play woke up. After going 0 for 2 early in this game, they woke up in a big way. What's causing that to occur? Why does this feel different for the Ottawa Senators? And am I offside by saying the Sens are going to be a problem for the entire NHL? Those conversations are all next, but please allow me to discuss the Glebe Central Pub. I just had a great phone call with Blair today at the Glebe Central Pub. We're planning our trip to the GCP. It's going to happen on March 1st. So Blair put up the tickets for the shuttle on March 1st. The goal is 2 full buses. Can we do it? You tell me, citizens. Let's get in the GCP at 779 Bank Street. We're going to be setting up a tent there midday. We'll be planting our flag and enjoying the good vibes all the way up to an hour and a half before the game when we'll start to prepare to get on the shuttle that will go to the CTC. That's March 1st against the San Jose Sharks. We will be there, boots on the ground, and then we're coming back to the pub after for live music and great vibes. So we'd love to see you there. Get your tickets online, GlebeCentralPub.com. It's only $17 round trip. And because you listen to Locked On Senators, you tell your waiter that when you get to the pub before, after the game, you get 10% off your order. It's such a great deal. The vibes are free at the GCP, so make sure to check them out and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. We hope to see you there on March 1st at the GCP, where the vibes are absolutely free. Today's episode is also brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. If you need last-minute tickets, you want them at the lowest prices, how about for that game March 1st against San Jose? We'll have more information about our ticket plan or where we're going to sit, but we always get our tickets at Game Time because they are the spot where they make sure that you're getting them at the lowest prices. I love turning on the all-in pricing. That way there's no surprises. Nothing pisses me off more than surprises at checkout. Those fees they try to add, not at Game Time. You get your price right up front and you can make your decisions based on that. So go and check out their Game Time picks where they filter out the fluff and show you only incredible deals on all of the best seats remaining in the barn. I use it all the time. Pilsy's using it this week. Martian's using it this week when they go down to Tampa for the Senators game against the Lightning. So you can too. And make a new account. Use code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get $20 off your first ticket purchase. That's a beer at the game because Game Time's giving you $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. All right, welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan. That is Lalime's Martian. Martian, I am buzzing right now. My alarm went off at 3:45 this morning. Put in an 8-hour shift. Put in a dad shift. Put in the Hockey Night in Canada. One of the better intros that they've done all season. That got me fired up. And to watch this team come out and just put a beat down on the Minnesota Wild, who some say are the best road team in the National Hockey League. I don't know if I buy that anymore. Martian, what do you think about that?
Well, not tonight, fella. That's for sure. Tonight they didn't look like the best road team. They didn't look like the best anything out there tonight. The Ottawa Senators just ran train on these guys. So, what can you say about that? It was just an incredible game from Ottawa. I think, obviously you could be a good road team, but 5 games on the road, as we know, as fans of this team, because they went on a 9-game road trip, it can be a little bit tiresome on this group, and it's going to make them, it's going to beat them down a little bit. It's going to wear on them. So coming into this game, Ottawa was favored despite, Minnesota's success this year on the road. And, I think those people in Vegas, they know something, Ross. They always know when the team's got the edge. And, boy, were they right tonight, because I would have loved to hit the Ottawa puck line tonight, but I just stuck with money line. And, that's the way it's going to go for us here.
Should have done -5.5. Dude, the Sens held Minnesota to 4 shots on goal in each of the second and third periods. Like, that's got to be the first time in a long time, multiple periods with under 5 shots on goal in the same game.
Yeah, dude, and we've been talking a ton about the way this team has been able to, shut other teams down on the defensive side of things. They've been really good defensively, not allowing a ton of goals at all over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I would say, for this team. And the offense hasn't been there, right? But tonight it was both. It was the offense was clicking, the power play was there in the third period. All 3 power play goals for Ottawa came in the third period. And then the defensive side of the thing, it was still there. Allowing just 16 shots is a ridiculous stat. That's what you wanted. If you can limit a team to just 16 shots every game and then go out there and put up 52 yourself, Ross, that's what you call. I can't wait to see what that graph. I'm sure you probably have it almost loaded up already, but that graphic showing, the good, the stat lines for every guy, like the good and the bad, whatever that company that does that is, I'm sure it's ridiculous tonight because Ottawa on the offensive side was so sick. 52 shots is ridiculous, 6 goals, and then not allowing a single one themselves. it's going to look like it's all like they're going to have to move that middle line all the way to the left so that they have enough space to show all the offensive impacts of these teams. Like I said, it looks like they moved it over a couple spaces there just to get all the offensive impact in. Look at that. That's ridiculous, right?
There's so many elite performers, and look at all the guys whose defense or negative side, I should say, is completely non-existent. It was just an overall team effort, beatdown performance, one where you're feeling so good too, because we didn't even mention, dude, that's a perfect homestand. 4-0 on this homestand after coming back. And I don't want to say getting screwed twice because, the 9-game road trip, it happens with the World Juniors, the price you pay to host those events in your city. But then they came back and it was like 2 at home, 1 on the road, 1 at home, 2 on the road. Like they couldn't get into a rhythm. So for them to find that in the best way possible and finish it off the way they did tonight in front of the great fans at the CTC who were loud and raucous and feeling themselves in this one, like the 6-0 goal, and we can break down the goals a little bit, but the 6-0 goal was Batherson, first goal in 11 games, 10-game streak snap. No chance the Sens have their top power play unit out there if it wasn't for how greasy the play was that gave them the penalty. Travis Green was probably doing the same thing we all were at home. That's pour it on. Give me all the goals. Do not take your foot off the gas pedal.
No, yeah, run it up. Like when they start making these little chippy plays like that and little cheap shots here and there, it's like, you know what? Screw you guys. We're going to show you what we're really going to be able to do to you if it ever comes to it again. I mean, this team looked them in the eye and said, we're gonna beat the crap out of you here now tonight, because if you're gonna be pulling this kind of garbage on us, then there's no reason for us to take our foot off the pedal. We're just gonna embarrass the crap out of you guys, and that's what they did. They just embarrassed them. These guys are gonna have to fly home now to Minnesota, and they're gonna get back to their own snowy little area, and they're gonna realize that the Ottawa Senators are nothing to be sneezed at here. The Sens are a good team, and if you don't come to play, ready to play in the CTC in Canada, then you're going to get beat. And that's what happened.
What a game all around. We got Dan giving a shout out to Nicholas Matin-Paolo and Tyler Clevin. I thought they were both physical. Like, you don't have a bad performance on this team today. I think everybody showed up. Sure. Would you like to see David Perron a little bit more, making an impact? He got robbed on one chance in the first. He got robbed. He did.
Yeah, he did.
Like almost every forward got a point except for the fourth line and David Perron tonight. Like you just want to see him get off the schneid, get his first goal, and hope that things kind of snowball from there. But that's just one little nitpick from tonight's game. Brady Tkachuk hits 20 goals, first Senator to reach 20 goals on the season, and great to see that after he got robbed earlier in this game, too, on a clear-cut breakaway. Gustafsson was able to squeeze the pads, and last game he had a goal called back. So he got the one, but then had a couple bad opportunities not go his way. So for him to get his 20th of the season, I think just another confidence builder for the captain.
Yeah, and a 2-point night is a nice thing for Brady at this point right now. I think, with that cold streak, I think, the numbers started to, that points per game started to drop off a little bit. So it's nice to see him get that multi-point game. And like you said, he did get, a goal taken away from him last game too. And that was a questionable call in itself. So I think that, Brady's got it cooking here. I think he's going to be fine. He's been a great leader all year. I think that there's definitely nothing to worry about with the captain's game. I think this is the crucial stretch where you're going to start to see him really bearing down a little bit extra, and we'll see what we got here. The one thing I want to make sure that Brady doesn't do is take himself out of a game with a fight that is against somebody who's not a good trade-off for the Sens, right? That's probably the one thing I just don't want to see him doing. I know he's been fighting a little bit less and less. He's probably got a lot less willing combatants, but for me, he needs to really, especially down this stretch here, if he's going to scrap somebody, it better be for a good reason or with a good trade-off. Those are the only things I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Should we get to some SensCentral standouts in just a minute? What was your overall impression of the flow of the game? I got so excited, I kind of jumped over. Like, when did you know this was going to be a blowout? Was it not until those power play goals, or could you feel it earlier?
No, I think as soon as it went up 3-0, I was kind of like, holy crap. I mean, we're rolling here. The Sens look really good. They're out shooting the crap out of them, and it just looked like they we've said this before with this team. You can kind of tell early in the game what kind of team you're going to get out of them on any given night. And tonight was one of those nights where they looked good immediately and they weren't going to let Minnesota come in here and win this one. So I felt pretty comfortable all the way through, Ross.
I know. Well, for me, I mean, those 2 goals in the second period came 1 minute and 7 seconds apart between Tim Stützle's 17th of the year and Michael Amadio getting on the score sheet. And the Shane Pinto stat continues. We don't have to bring it up every single time, but again, they're now 15-1 when Shane Pinto has a point this season. And kind of makes sense because Amadio's been in on a lot of Shane Pinto's goals, playing a decent chunk of the season together. But this was the 11th game that Michael Amadio earned at least a point in, and the Sens are 10-0-1 in 11 games when Michael Amadio has a point. So he might not be producing as much as we'd like, but when he gets a point, the Sens win hockey games. The only loss was the shootout one in Anaheim earlier in December. All right, Martian, on the other side, we will get to the chat. We will get to our SensCentral standouts. Before, though, how about a look at this graphic? Because, my goodness, lots of it's like teeter-totter, but nobody's sitting on the other end. It is that lopsided. Senators win 6-0. Senators outshoot Minnesota 52-16. Senators go 3 for 8. 8 on the power play. Of course, when you score on a 5-minute penalty, it just goes 1 for 1, and then the next one starts. So the 3 goals all came on the same power play. So Ottawa really had 5 power plays, but obviously one of them was 5 minutes. So that's why they're 3 for 8. Minnesota goes 0 for 3. Senators snap back 71% of the faceoffs in this one. Each team with 15 blocks. Senators get out hit 26-19 because Minnesota barely had the puck. And at 5-on-5, the expected goals percentage, 71.6 for the Ottawa Senators. Slice it how you want. You can put it in the toaster. You can put it in the oven, the air fryer. But this comes out as a whomping for the Ottawa Senators. SensCentral standouts are next. You're watching the Locked On Senators Postcast. Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan. That is Lalime's Martian. 6-0, the final score. Senators beat the Wild. Martian, I think we should snap it back and forth 3 times, because if there were 3 of us, that would be snapping it back twice. So I think 6 guys deserve some love for this game. So I'll leave it to you to start it off.
Yeah, why not? And I'm going to start with the horse on the back end, and that's going to be Jake Sanderson, buddy. I mean, like you said, there's only been 6 other players in the NHL who have had more than a 4-point night. So for Jake Sanderson to do that, that just shows, what caliber of defenseman we're working with here. And I know he hasn't been as, hasn't had as great of a season as maybe we wanted, but tonight he showed why he should maybe be considered for next year's Olympics for Team USA, because this is a guy who can skate like the absolute wind, has an incredible hockey IQ, especially on that point where he makes decisions to either shoot pucks or make passes, and his breakout play is as good as it gets as well. So for Jake Sanderson tonight, I mean, obviously led the team in points, but he also was very close he almost caught Shabbat tonight. Shabbat always gets that most ice time. He was right there with 22-14 on ice to Shabbat's 22-54. So just under a minute less ice time than Shabbat. But he had 5 shots on net, Ross. This guy, he's a threat on both ends of the ice, and he can do it all. And Jake Sanderson is just scratching the surface, as Pierre Dorion would say about his favorite defenseman, Josh Brown. Also my favorite defenseman, Josh Brown. But
please do not say Josh Brown and Jake Sanderson's name in the same sentence.
I know. I had to say it.
Ever.
I would never compare the two. But listen, Jake Sanderson was incredible tonight, and he's my first standout, buddy.
I love it, and I'm glad you put a little nugget in my brain. Who picked the 4 Nations team for Team USA? Who snubbed Jake Sanderson?
It was Billy G.
Yeah, who was in the building tonight, the GM of the Minnesota Wild. He took his own guy, took Brock Faber instead. I didn't see much from him tonight. I saw Jake Sanderson. Now, in all fairness, Jake Sanderson wasn't playing his best hockey before the teams were announced, but my goodness, he looks electric out there. Great first call on a SensCentral standout. Martian, I'm going to go with Tim Stützle because he was in all of it tonight. And this is how I envision a playoff game going for Tim Stützle. He's going to have to fight through some things throughout the game. He got tripped hard into the boards in the first period, didn't get a call there. Then he gets into it in the second period. Then he takes an elbow to the head, a nice little dropper move, WWE style. And what's he do? Ends the game not only the winner, but finds his way on the score sheet, finds his way to impact the game with 3 points, a goal and 2 assists, goes 75% in the dot, which is outstanding for him. I mean, the team was 71%. I'd imagine he went 3 for 4, but when's the last time Tim Stützle went 3 for 4 in the faceoff dot? No, dude. Timmy went 6 for 8 in the dot tonight, fella.
That's right.
Love that. So Tim Stützle is my first SensCentral standout. We'll get to more, but first, Justin, so generous of you. Really appreciate everybody for being so cool in the chat, leaving a couple of shekels in the guitar case. Always appreciate that. Justin says, the men are playing as one. This has been a long time coming, but how are we feeling about our depth, core, and goalies? Justin feels like they can win that 35-pound trophy. We did, hand up, mea culpa, we did multiple shows this past week about what a trade would look like for the Ottawa Senators. And maybe we were onto something because there have been a number of trades in the NHL, so we got the season right. But the way the Senators team is playing, Martian, why would you do anything but maybe add some depth pieces for like 4th, 5th round picks? Guys who are, going to be in and out of the lineup, but who you're going to feel better in case you need depth in a long series.
Yeah, I think that's the approach that any reasonable person right now with this team would take. I think the way that they're playing right now, you don't want to disrupt anything too much. And we got a little bit of insight from Mark Mathod as well. He talked about how like big trades can fracture a lineup, and you just don't want to do that with this group right now. And this is also the group that has been working through this rebuild together since the very beginning. And you don't want to bring in outside elements into this. If they're going to do it, damn right they want to do it the same group that they've been this entire time. And I think that they're capable of it. And if they do it together this way, it's going to set them up for success long-term in the future. And I don't think you can risk, giving up assets for other guys who you think might help. I think that you're right, Ross, maybe a depth piece or two, but that's it. And it's not going to be for anything major either. You're going to give up depth round draft picks. It's not going to be anything, that's going to, disrupt the room, take guys out of the lineup. No chance of that. If anything, you're adding, and that's it. There's no chance you're taking a guy out of this room right now. There's not a single guy I look at on this roster who I would want to remove from it at the moment. That I think that would just cause problems. So especially with, names been floating around, like guys like Josh Norris, he's been our best forward the last week and a half. So that's a guy I wouldn't even touch. And we know the guys love him in that room. So there's no way that you want to mess with this right now. I think, you hear it all the time, Ross, right? GMs walking into rooms and saying, we believe in you guys. We believe in this group. That's why we didn't make any changes. I think if you had Steve Staios walk into that Ottawa Senators dressing room right now and said, hey guys, do you guys want help? It might mean one or two of you guys move out of here. They would all say, hell no. We want to keep this thing going together. We want to do this together. And their vibes are immaculate right now. They can't screw with it.
I'm already fired up for the 40-second video that we're going to get from the Ottawa Senators. They do it after every win, and the vibes are high. And if you're looking at depth acquisitions down the stretch, don't forget Noah Gregor's going to return in the next week or so from his injury, and they still have Jacob Bernard-Docker. And tonight, Nick Jensen still missing, and they're still finding ways to win hockey games, and in tonight's case, completely dominate. So you've got Jake Sanderson as your first standout. I've got Tim Stützle as mine, a little 2020 vision for the boys. I'm going to stick with the 2020 draft. There's so many other ways I can go, but we got to give love to Levi Marilainen. And I know it wasn't a huge performance for him, but when you're looking at the numbers and at this stage in his career, already having 3 shutout wins and another one where he's perfect through regulation, like it deserves mention time and time again because Dustin Wolf's getting a lot of love as a rookie goalie, and he's had a much steeper workload throughout a longer sample size. But when's the last time that you've been this confident in a backup goalie for the Ottawa Senators? He is so calm in there, and I just want to give him a little love. We don't have to stick too long on this, but he'll be my second.
No, I mean, Ross, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Levi Marilainen because he comes away with a shutout. This guy's got 3 on the season as a rookie. He's unbelievable right now. He's steady Eddie back there. The boys trust him. It's obvious by the way they play in front of him. So, hell of a standout, Ross. They're going to give it to you.
Thanks, buddy. He now ties Linus Ullmark for the team lead in shutouts. Forsberg with 2, Marilainen with 3. And what's his save percentage going to be after tonight? 923, 924 on the season. Ridiculous. Crazy. What we're seeing from a 22-year-old goalie. Martian, who's your second one?
Yeah, I got to go with the good old East Coast boy here. Drakey Batherson finally getting off the monkey off his back here with that first goal in 10 games. That's nice to see. And he piled onto that with 2 more assists. So a 3-point night for Drake Batherson as well. He was out there all night. Listen, his dogs are going to be barking tonight because this guy was a workhorse out there. 6 shots on goal, 2 hits. He was buzzing. I thought Drake Batherson, he could have had maybe a couple goals tonight, Ross. He had a few good looks out there. Gustafsson was able to make a few good saves on him. 6 shots on goal. And one thing we know about Drake is he doesn't really shoot the puck unless he has a really good look. So for him to fire 6 shots tonight, it tells you that he was in the right spots all night. And I really like the look of him, the way he was going tonight. So I'm going to go with Drake Batherson for my second standout of the night.
Yeah, I really like that call. He was great, and it's awesome to see that these guys who are in their offensive slumps are now getting their way, working their way out of them, including my third. Snake style. So you're up next. You're going to take my guy. I already know it.
Oh, well, no, we actually messed that up then because I went, you went, then I went. So it's not stakes.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. We're just playing catch, pitch, catch, catch. Dude, Brady Tkachuk on a Saturday night. I know he always shoots the puck. I feel like his overshots on goal on Saturday nights hit all the time. Goal, assist, 9 shots on goal tonight for Brady Tkachuk. He was physical. He was all over the place. Didn't get carried away with any of the chippiness in the game, but he was all over it. And the captain could have had another on that breakaway. Brady Tkachuk, the captain, is my next standout.
Yeah, dude, he's a beast. I mean, you can't stop this guy when he decides to play. And not only did he play on Hockey Night in Canada tonight, on Monday night, he's playing on Amazon Prime Night. And he's had that crew following him for the entire season because he's going to be a headliner for that, that series. And so on Monday night when they play the Nashville Predators, it is going to be the Amazon Prime game. And I think he's going to show up and he's going to have another big game. So look out for Brady Tkachuk. He's heating up big time.
I'm so fired up to see what this guy's going to do down the stretch. The chat is absolutely buzzing right now. Cannot thank everybody enough for vibing with us. Hey, Sens fans, you deserve this. Don't let anybody tell you that it's only February. There's a long way to go. We know that. But that should not take away from how sweet these wins are when the Senators just come through clutch. And Jake Jacoby saying that Brady could have had 3 goals tonight. I'm sure. Give him 4. Give him 5. Senators get 6 in a 6-0 win. All right, one more each, Martian. Who you got?
All right, yeah, this one's easy for me. This is, again, he was the tone setter here tonight, and that was Josh Norris on that shorthanded goal. Incredible goal from Josh Norris, and I just – his game has evolved lately, Ross. I don't know what it is. It may be a comfortability with his shoulder. All of a sudden, he's feeling a little bit better about it. He's willing to be a little bit more physical. He's just been all over. He was only credited with 1 hit tonight, but I saw him getting physical on multiple occasions out there. He's not the perimeter player that I think he gets labeled as sometimes. He's the better defensive forward than people think. And I think Josh Norris is all of a sudden becoming a very, very important part of this team. I know we've always seen him as a part of the core, but if we're going to get in the playoffs and if he's going to play the way he's been playing so far in the regular season, he needs to be a dog like that. And for him to be able to go out there and do that, I don't think that's natural to him, really. I don't think it's natural for Josh Norris to go out there and be physical and really bear down on pucks and win battles. But because he's just been a natural goal scorer his whole life. So the game's probably come very easy to him. But lately, he's started to really develop in different areas. And I think that he needs to be credited. And so that's why Josh Norris is going to be my third Central Standout of the night. And I know I've given this guy a hard time in the past for different reasons, whatever it may be. But I'm loving Josh Norris's game, buddy.
Yeah, it's huge. And people like Energized in the chat, appreciate you, brother. Saying when he's on his game, he's elite. He says, I owe him one. He was tough on him as well. And we're starting to see what a healthy, motivated, speedy Josh Norris can bring with all the different intricacies of his game. And he was a dog on a bone tonight. My final SensCentral standout, I got 2 out of 3 Finns. Nicholas Matin-Palo deserves a little love. He was noticeable here.
I love it, Ross, because he was shooting the puck tonight too. He was hungry for
five shots.
And a couple of them were hard ones that maybe had a chance.
He was physical out there. And look, I get the Travis Hamonic veteran thing. This guy can't come out of the lineup. He can't come out of the lineup. Nicholas Matin-Palo has made it so that the Ottawa Senators cannot take this guy out of the lineup. I'm telling you, he has worked so Pilsy always brings it up. He's shocked that Matin-Palo came back to Ottawa for another try because you got to think when a guy's got 200 games in Liga, he's a veteran. That's a pro league over there, and then comes over and only gets 4 games. He's riding the bus in Belleville all year. That's a lot of belief in yourself that when you get the chance, you're going to take the most of it. And it took 3 guys getting hurt, or 2, at least 2, because it was JBD and Hamonic at different times, and then Jensen for a little bit. So, I mean, he's big, he's imposing, and he and Clevin, I mean, tonight, a lot of events in terms of shots on goal, 5 for Matin-Palo, but in general, they're a low event pair. And that's what you need when you have so much speed and all the skill on your other 2 pairs. Just don't give up negative shifts. So, yeah, Tails is saying Matin-Palo is finished for steady. It feels that way.
It could be, yeah. Honestly, him and Clevin have just been so steady together. They're both so big, too. They almost look like twins on the ice. Clevin might be a little bit taller, but Matin-Palo is a little bit thicker. And those guys are dangerous out there because they're just going to get in your way every single time. And they're a coach's dream. I'm sure Travis Green has recognized that. I'd be shocked if when Jensen comes back, it should be Travis Hamonic coming out. I think he had a great game again tonight too. This is the thing about Hamonic. He can come in and he can play any given night and have a good night, but there are tendencies that are probably avoidable at certain times. But Matin-Palo has come in here and he's shown that he doesn't want to ride the bus anymore in Belleville. He doesn't want to eat the soggy subs on that bus, and he wants to be in the NHL. And right now, to me, he looks like a really good NHL defenseman. Just a solid third pairing guy who's not going to give up a lot, and he's going to occasionally surprise you with his playmaking ability and his just mental capacity in the offensive zone to just fire a puck when he needs to. So tonight was a good example of that. So we're going to go with Matin-Palo here. I think I love this player, and the size factor for me makes a huge difference as well, especially with him and Clevin. That's a shutdown pair if you've ever seen one.
Sens are 6-0-1 in their last 7 home games since losing to Buffalo after the long road trip. And it is just impressive to see, almost as impressive as Justin, man, coming through clutch again. What an awesome comment here. When Jensen comes back, Green has to sit Hamonic. We're just mentioning that, Justin. You just need to keep Clevin with Matin-Palo. They look so good together. There's no reason to change it. And what makes me kind of hopeful for it is that they didn't shuffle all the D pairs when Jensen went out. They're like, okay, Hamonic's going to go with Shabbat because I'm hoping it's because they like that Clevin Matin-Palo pair so much. So that's a great point, Justin. And hopefully, I don't know, and I don't really think it's going to happen just based on some, not semantics, but with, just how veterans are always given the inside track to stay in the lineup. But this is the 13th or 14th consecutive game that Matin-Palo's played. And they mentioned on the broadcast, Sam Cosentino said he was talking with Matin-Palo that morning, and he's like, it's allowed me to get into a rhythm. So, hey, he's feeling the rhythm, the energy. It's like he's listening to Danger Flutes, eh?
Yeah, absolutely, man, and you gotta love it. I mean, this is a good time of the season. It's insane to be in the hunt at this point in the season for the Sens. I'm loving it right now, buddy. Like we got to eat this up while we can because we've had 7 years now of just not being able to enjoy this part of the season. It's kind of been the dog days for Sens fans, and we're coming up on a nice little break for them too. I think it's going to be a good time for all the boys to kind of reset. Other than the guys who are going to the Four Nations, obviously Brady and Olmark are going to be involved in that. But other than that, I mean, I think that break could be fun for us.
Yanni Hakanpää just pulled out of the Four Nations for Finland. Let's get Nicholas Matinpalo out of the Four Nations.
Let's get him in there. Honestly, I think he might have a shot because I don't think Finnish D depth is that deep. Like, I mean,
it could be better. They could have Matinpalo on the team.
I mean, as far as guys in the NHL go, I don't think there's a better choice than Nicholas Matinpalo, Ross.
This guy is unreal. Okay, that's our SensCentral Standouts presented by the Glebe Central Pub. We got plenty more to get to on Monday's Locked On Senators. We also have an interview with Jody Shelley. You're going to watch him on Prime Monday Night Hockey. He is the color analyst for Prime, former NHLer, tough guy. We talk about fighting Chris Neal, being around a young Mark Mathot in Columbus, and a lot of great stories. He's an awesome talker, been all over the country. I know all of our Atlantic Sens fans in the chat remember Jody Shelley as the captain of the Halifax Mooseheads way back in the day. So we're going to have that interview for you on Monday on Locked On Senators, and it will be an early drop on Monday morning. Senators announcing they have a full day off. Martian, I'd say that's a pretty well-deserved day off for the boys.
Yeah, I think that there's been times where, maybe they don't deserve the day off after a rougher game. And I think tonight was one of those nights where you can give those boys the green light. That's a green light if I've ever seen one here. You're the kings of this town. And I think those boys need to get out there and have a little fun and then reset. And let's get back to it because they got a nice little road trip coming up here. And I'm going to be a big part of that. I'm going to be involved in this road trip, boys. I'm going to be at both games in Tampa. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds like an absolute blast, dude. I know you're going to have a good time.
I'm going to hate having 3 rounds of golf and 2 hockey games to go to in Tampa with 25-degree weather, sun shining on my face. It's going to be glorious, Ross.
And Pilsy will be boots on the ground for Tuesday's game as well. Senators get 52 shots in this game. The last time they had 50-plus shots in a game, they had 58 in April of 2023, so never last year. But at the end of 2 seasons ago, remember that game with all the bajillion penalty minutes and just the game that got out of hand? They lost 7-2 and they had 58 shots on goal.
I know. It's insane.
Tonight, a better outcome. 6-0 the final score. Let's get some Go Sens Go in the chat. I had to run last win because the baby was needing some attention, some TLC. So we missed out on the flutes. And I was like, wow, wouldn't it be a shame if we don't get to hear the flutes for a while? But that ain't no problem here because the Ottawa Senators put an absolute clinic on CTC Ice, their 4th consecutive win on this homestand, and now they head out for 4 more games before the Four Nations Cup. They will be in Nashville Monday, Tampa Tuesday and Thursday, and then in Florida to take on the Panthers on Saturday. The out-of-town scoreboard, Detroit's up 2-0 on Calgary after first period. Panthers won today. Bruins won today. Penguins won today. Lightning got a point in an overtime loss against the Islanders, who won today. And the Toronto Maple Leafs also won. So some people might say that sucks that the out-of-town scoreboard wasn't good. But when you win, it's all good. And that's what the Senators did. Martian, final thoughts on today's show.
Yeah, exactly. As long as they just keep winning and doing their thing out there, they have nothing to worry about. There's no reason they should be looking down in the standings at all. As long as they hold their own ground and do their own thing, they're going to keep exactly where they're at. And I'm loving where they're at right now. 3rd in that division right now. It would still be a Sens Leafs playoff series in the first round if things just shook out that way. So they just got to continue what they're doing. I think they're really building off everything they've been doing so far this season, Ross. we've seen them even when they've been a bad team in the past where they've been kind of out of it in like after November or after December, whatever it may be, they continue to be good team late in the season because they're trying to build off something. Well, now they've got themselves actually in a good position here. And if they could just keep it going and also get better, then they might find themselves in an even better position by the time things are said and done here. Obviously, the ultimate goal is to get in the playoffs. And after tonight, they've just continued to look like a team that should and could get there.
Who had that block at the end of the game? Was that a Tkachuk or one of the defensemen? It might have been Martin Palo.
It was Ben Palo, I think.
The boys loved that. The boys loved that on the bench.
Yeah.
And Ryan Churchill mentions there are 11 Finnish defensemen in the league, and this is an NHL tournament, so they cannot pick someone because this conversation came up with Team Sweden when Markstrom couldn't go. They said, like, you can't get one of the SHL's best goalies. This is not an International Ice Hockey Federation tournament. It has to be an NHLer. So, hey, let's get our pom-poms on. Let's get Martin Palo in those games. That would actually be unreal score tonight. 6-0. The Senators win. They get a career high 4 points from Jake Sanderson, 3 points each from Tim Stützle and Drake Batherson. Brady Tkachuk has a pair of points. Other goal scorers in tonight's game was Josh Norris and Michael Amadio. For Martian, I'm Ross Levitan. Make sure you're following along on Twitter at SensCentral, Instagram lockedon.senators. It is a 16-save shutout for Levi Lalime in this game. Drake Batherson gets his first goal in 11 games. And Ryan Hartman, you will be hearing from the Department of Player Safety. That wraps up not only tonight's show, but 27 days straight of Locked On Senators. 34 shows over that span with the back-to-backs on the weekend. There's the last stat I'll throw out there. Senators are 8-0 in their last 8 weekend games that started in Minnesota, and their last one against the Wild in Ottawa. 8 straight on Saturdays and Sundays. Disgustingly impressive stuff for the Ottawa Senators. So thank you whether you listen once or every single day with us. We appreciate the heck out of you all. Thank you for making us a part of your daily routine. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you get yours, including here on YouTube. It goes a long way to helping the algorithm and all that good stuff to help us continue to grow the show. Thank you to all the generosity in the chat tonight as well, from Justin to Swanky Panic, Stinging Metal, Jax Tronaut, Ziz Lives, Energized, Tails. We got Sens fans in Van, Dan, Ozzy, Mark Sinclair, Matthew Anfield, Vern, Drone Pro Shot, R. Fauché. We are feeling very good, and we appreciate the heck out of each and every one of you. Let's get some GSGs in the chat. For Martian, I'm Ross Levitan. This is a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, but we're also brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure to check out the GCP at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. It's the GCP, where the vibes are free. We'll talk to you on Monday. This has been a Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.